And so once you get elected to office, I mean, you know, you become a absolute named commodity all across America because of the inability to be seated and the refusal of the legislature to seat you for 3 times, in fact, until you take it to the Supreme Court. And as I look at that stage of your career, it seems to me that that must have been really extraordinary to be 25, 26 years old, fighting this, being in all the national newspapers, not really knowing how it would come out, probably being, I mean, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but probably being just furious by the actions of these legislators.
I was just so angry, but I knew how it would come out. I knew I was right. And I'm not a lawyer, you know, but I had the advice of excellent lawyers who assured me that we were right, that we'd prevail in the end. So I had no doubt about that. I was fearful of what would happen when I eventually got in, but I knew I was getting in because everything was on my side.
But how could you have no doubt that you would win when you had watched the courts be, you know, completely disregard the law in so many other ways?
Because we knew the Supreme Court then, as opposed to now, then would do the right thing. I just knew they'd do the right thing, and we knew they'd do the right thing. And I had excellent lawyers. I had not only the man who became my brother-in-law, Howard Moore, who was an excellent lawyer, but I had Leonard Boudin and Victor Rabinowitz, and they had won a series of Supreme Court cases, the experienced attorneys, expert in the First Amendment. They had a lot of Smith Act cases, too, representing communists. They were just such great lawyers, we couldn't lose. I don't mean we were foolishly optimistic about it.
But they also had the reputation of being very radical people and very strongly affiliated with the Communist Party.
Yes, but I didn't think the court would mind.
Really?
No. In fact, because they'd won before. They'd been to the court before and won. And that was good enough for me. I knew they could prevail. And I knew they were superior to the Attorney General of Georgia. I was surprised when we lost on the lower court level, when the 2 Kennedy appointees voted against me and the Eisenhower appointee voted for me.
Yeah. How were you so able to keep your cool during...
I did, Phyllis. When they threw me out of the legislature, eventually, there was a period of about 3 hours one day between when we appeared before the body and something happened. There was about a 3-hour delay, and I went into a room in the basement of the Capitol, and I broke out in hives, just all over my face, just awful, terrible. And just nervousness. I was nervous. You know, everybody was looking at me, everybody was staring at me, people were taking pictures of me, sticking microphones in my face, and I was tremendously nerve-wracking. But I always knew we would win.
And you clearly always had the ability to hold on to your temper enough to not get yourself in
You know, when I was growing up
trouble.
at Lincoln, I remember I was playing with some younger kids, and I picked this child up and threw him down. We were in something like a sandbox. I think it was the pit that high jumpers use, so it was, you know, soft. And I threw him down, and all the air went out of his body. I thought I'd killed him. And I thought, gee, this is what happens when you lose your temper. And he was perfectly fine, thank heaven. But, you know, I thought, gee whiz. And so I just resolved, I'm not letting this happen to me ever again. I'm not going to lose control again.
That's quite an object lesson.
Yes, it was really an object lesson.